Hi everyone, my name is Audrey. This is the Astro forecast. This is a special edition for the integration of the solar eclipse in Libra we just had. I presented this energy a few days ago from the perspective of the sun, so heliocentric astrology, which is some of the energies that we were receiving that were very volatile, that we're talking about resolving inner wars, and we've seen that a lot of those conflicts have manifested on our 3D reality. Through this special edition, I'm going to show you how Astro Cartography can reveal to you some of your ties to different places on this earth, to the world, and how it can be affecting you in a greater way that you expected. Now, your natal chart will already tie you to certain places in this world, so that's something that is very precious that I will include in this special edition. So before I show you the map of the world, because there's a lot of places and you'll have to do it for yourself, because obviously if you're watching, I don't know where you're located on the globe, but we're going to review the lines of energy of each master teacher, the planets, so you can know and understand maybe a lot more in a deeper, greater ways what you've been feeling, if you've had any pain, any headaches, any fear, any phobia, anything that is coming up to the surface at this time. Let's start with the first house, where we have Pluto that is finally going direct, but that also means that the master teacher of power and transformation is not in review energy. It's actually letting us play out some of those lessons, see if where it's almost like being off the bench and being in the game. And this is all about witnessing whether or not we're still trapped in some of our mental prisons. Now, because this is the first house, this is going to trigger the Aries energy that could be manifested in anything that has to do with your head, any headache, but especially the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands trigger fear, fight or flight response, and that means this is why this is bringing more so that volatile energy that we saw from the sun's perspective, where we had a T-square. In the second house, we have Saturn retrograde and Neptune retrograde that are here teaching us about the transformation of our own personal views, belief systems, patterns of perception, and bringing an end to some of those ways, some of those illusions, some of those perceptions that need to be upgraded. This is going to trigger the Taurus house, which is more about the neck. The neck shows us whether we are open or not to new directions of looking at things in life. In terms of meridians, which is interesting here, there's a lot that is being processed through the large intestine for the Taurus sign. So, any type of constipation or on the opposite side, a release of the intestine could be triggered from those energies processed. When we're moving to the third house, we have Chiron in retrograde and the North Node. Chiron is still helping us heal the wound of disempowerment, and the collective North Node is in the degrees now of Aries that are trying to rectify what is off balance. Being in the third house of Gemini, this is all about transmutation. This is all about the alchemy of the things that we are witnessing, and it's going to be especially expressed through the voice or our ability to extend our help, because Gemini is connected also to the arms, to the hands. And that's going to be something that if you're on those lines of energy, as far as the North Node or Chiron, that you could feel excessively as far as your ability to express yourself or not, especially in the face of whatever has been manifested thus far. Moving to the fourth house, this is the house of Cancer. This is the house where we will feel our diaphragm, our heart, our connection to the Cancer sign, which is the healer. And we have here the master teacher, Jupiter in retrograde, teaching us about spiritual abundance, and Uranus in retrograde teaching us about growth and evolution. Having this in the 4th house is going to trigger a lot of ancestral lineage, because this is the house of spiritual home. This is also connected to your heart. There's a lot of things that can trigger at this time, especially if you're on this line. I discovered through those transits that I was on the Uranus line, and Uranus line was also connected to the wars that were occurring at this time, explaining a lot of my difficulty to move through the heaviness, because you can be placed on the earth miles and miles away from a place where there is turmoil and not understand why you're connected. But this is part of the light work. This is part of the awakening. So we understand that we are all one, that we're all a reflection of each other. As you awaken, you start more and more feeling those connections and those lines, so you support each other. One thing that is also really important that was revealed to me through this process was that your natal chart has connection to some places, the same with the moon events, but you can really directly send your light work, your blessings in an even more effective way, because you're connected to those energy lines wherever you're located on earth. If you're connected at a natal chart based to certain places in the world, when you send your blessings, when you do your inner work, this is how you spread your light. So the challenge is here with the 4th house that is going to trigger a lot of energy. The Taurus archetype is about holding the light of our desire, of our creation, of our connection to source, being in the house of Cancer, connected to our heart. This is going to require, to the ones that are connected to this energy especially, or the ones that are feeling this, there's a lot of second chances energy that wants to come forward. There's a lot of joy that wants to move through the heaviness. So this is going to be a lot of balancing of the shadows and the light if you are affected by those energy lines wherever you are located in. As we're moving to the next planet, we're jumping right away to the 8th house, where Venus is in the degrees of Virgo that are speaking of forgiveness, mercy. But this is the master teacher of our intention, and that means this is going to rival here with Saturn in terms of whether or not we're capable of changing our views, changing how we feel about certain conflicts. So there's a great challenge. This is why I'm not surprised to see it in the house that speaks of shadows, that is connected to Scorpio. Scorpio, this is all about your genitals, that connection of your sacred desires, what really matters to you to continue as a legacy. So there's a lot to transcend here, especially when we're talking about all conflicts between tribes. Last but not least, we have all this cluster, also called the stellium, of energy in the 9th house. The 9th house is meant for us to be spiritually educated to new ways of seeing, feeling, experiencing life. This is connected to the zodiac sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is all about the hips. So you know that I try to coincide the frequency healing with everything that we're going through as far as activation from the cosmic dance. So as frequency healing is available on my YouTube channel. You can find this in my bio link if you're watching this from Instagram. If you're watching this from YouTube, there is a playlist with all my frequency healing. This is going to support the release of past trauma, anxiety, and fears. A lot of things that we've covered as far as the activation. Mercury is in the degrees of Libra that speaks of comfort through the voice. Are we able to be there for each other? This is teaching us higher ways to be present. So I am doing this special edition so you can understand how you can really extend your energies through your light work, shadow work, your prayers in even greater ways, and also understand your connection to those events or whatever event is occurring astrologically. The eclipse is in the exact degrees that we have the south node, the collective south node. Those degrees of Libra speaks of bettering ourselves, making sure that we understand that the mission here is about bettering ourselves, understanding more that we are an extension of each other, that we're connected, that we're one, and making sure that we're able to move through those energies. So this is a collective 28 days intention. Now, because we have the South Node that's there, a lot of the old past ways of the collective are going to be highly felt, and some of you that are much more or connected or aware have lifted more layers of the veil. You'll be more involved and feeling those things in deeper ways. Last but not least, we have in this cluster Mars, the master teacher of our energy in motion, in the first degrees of Scorpio, that is speaking of prosperity. And prosperity is really meaning, what do we want to see live on? Okay, that means this is kind of like the illustration of a garden of intention. What do we see now that we want to see bloom, and what do we want to remove because we're seeing that it's not serving us anymore? So a lot of recollection of your fragmented self from past traumas, past memories, past life, giving your energy to certain timelines, to certain expectations, to certain beliefs, perception of yourself, certain labels. There's a lot of retrieving back your power, calling it back in. Now let's move on to the Astro Cartography on Astro Dienst. I'm going to show you how to dial in this moon event. You can do the same thing with your birth chart, so you can see what are your connection to certain countries. Maybe some of you already visited some of those places. I personally love this aspect of understanding our connection to certain places, and also how we can reactivate certain memories, skills, potential, and sometimes also karmic debts that we have to purge as well. On astrodienst.com, you would go under free horoscopes, and then you will go to locational astrology, Astro click travel. You want to make sure that you have the new moon solar eclipse in Libra entered. It's October 14th, 1:51 p.m. Eastern time. So I chose Boston as a city. So now you have, as a result, some of those energy lines. You would see how it would travel. All right. And how everything is connected in terms of countries. It will help you understand some of the energy essence. Now, if you are, for example, living in Miami, you can have here some explanation as far as this energy line, but really, ultimately, we covered the energy of each planet and placement. So you would see if you're more activated. I'm more on the West Coast, so I'm more towards that Uranus line energy. So again, that's what you would review. That's what you would see that you're most connected. There are some subtle lines you can see here. Disharmonious would add some lines here, or harmonious lines, add some more lines. So that's something that can help you. I trust this is supporting you. Thank you again, everyone, for your support. You've been wonderful to me. All your messages, feedback, even donations at this time has been really supportive. I'm sending you much love and light. Namaste.